are now going to see a film called Some Nordic Voices on Parental Alienation. It's put together by me, Lena, Hellblom from Sweden, with the help from my daughter-in-law Hilde Marie Farstad from Norway. She's behind the camera just now. The first contribution is from Iceland. It's taken from a film that was made after a conference in April 2017 called Permission to Love.
Foreldraútilokun hefur lítið sem ekkert verið rannsókn á Íslandi, en rannsóknir erlendis hafa sýnt að tíðni foreldraútilokunar á bilinu 10–15% í skilnaðarmálum.
Sumir foreldrar reyna að hlífa barninu og láta það ekki vera vitni að þessum átökum eða ágreiningi, en börn skynja og þau fara ekki varhluta af því. Og þetta hefur verið staðfest í nýlegum rannsóknum sem eru þá viðtöl við uppkomin skilnaðarbörn, og það er samhljómur í því.
Ef ég vitna í Amy Baker þá lýsir hún aðferðum sem foreldrar nota við foreldraútilokun. Þetta skiptist í 3 þætti. Foreldri kemur þeim skilaboði til barnsins að ég er eina foreldri sem elska þig. Þú þarft á mér að halda til þess að þér líði vel með sjálfa þig. Í öðru lagi að hitt foreldrið, það er á einhvern hátt hættulegt, eða það er ekki hægt að treysta því, eða það er ekki aðgengilegt, það er ekki til staðar fyrir þig. Og síðan í 3. lagi að ef að þú reynir að vera í sambandi við hitt foreldrið, þá ert þú að ógna sambandinu okkar.
Í þessari síðustu rannsókn minni það sem er rætt uppkomin skilnaðarbörn, að þau reyna allt sem þau geta til að komast hjá því að taka einhverja afstöðu. Það er óbærilegt fyrir barn að þurfa að velja á milli foreldra sinna og að finna það að þau séu að togast á barnið. Það er eiginlega ekki siðlegt að útsetja barn fyrir slíkt.
Þegar að foreldrar beita börn ofbeldi eða vanrækja börn, og það er bara mjög mikið annaðhvort vanræksla eða ofbeldi í gangi, að þá er það mjög sjaldgæft og nánast ekki til að börn afneiti þessu foreldri. En þegar við erum að tala foreldraútilokun og umgengnistalmannir, þá er þetta í yfirgnæfandi mála.
Börn velja það yfirleitt ekki að vilja loka á annað foreldri sitt. Nema í þessum undantekningatilvikum sem við vorum að tala áðan, að foreldri sé hreinlega veikt, annaðhvort með geðræna erfiðleika sem birtast í ofbeldi eða áfengisneyslu eða einhvers konar vægast sagt óheppilegri hegðun, að barnið er hrætt við foreldrið, en það er ekki þar með sagt að barnið vilji skera á öll tengsl við þetta foreldri. Og hins vegar getur verið að áhrifin frá hinum foreldrinu eða áhrifin frá fjölskyldunni eða áhrifin einhvers staðar í umhverfinu séu það sterk að barnið treysti sér ekki til þess að annað en að segja að ég vil ekki hitta mömmu eða ég vil ekki hitta pappa.
En við erum líka að tala foreldra sem að líður of illa til þess að geta sett þarfir annarra mannesku fram að sínum eigin. Og það er eins og ég ítreka, það er ekki vegna þess að skorti viljan til þess. En það vita allir ef að maður er lasin eða er mjög kvíðinn eða þunglyndur, það er mjög erfitt að hugsa þá aðra mannesku. Maður er uppfullur af sína eigin vanlíðan.
Og meðal annars í rannsókn frá 2008, þar sem að foreldrar eru spurðir viðhorf til tálmunar í umgengni, að þá segja 96%, sem sagt nánast allir, að það beri að bregðast við ef tálmun er í tafli. Hins vegar segja nánast jafn margir, tæp 90%, að það beri ekki að bregðast við með hörðum aðgerðum. Það er að segja ekki með dagsektum eða að barn sé sótt af stjórnvaldi. Hins vegar segja einmitt bæði þeim hópi og annars staðar þar sem ég spurt þetta 95–7% að það sé ráðgjöf sem skipti öllu máli. Að það sé að fá aðstoð, faglega aðstoð og upplýsingar, leiðbeiningar það hvernig heppilegt sé að halda málum með hagsmuni barnsins í fyrirrúmi.
Það getur verið að það hafi orðið eitthvað slæm samskipti, það getur þurft einhverja ráðgjöf eða meðferð til þess að bæta samskipti barns og foreldris. En að velja þá leið að úr því að barnið segi ég vill ekki hitta foreldrið, þá bara málið klárað og bara barnið fær ekki að hitta foreldrið meir. Það rauninni ekki barnið fyrir bestu að leysa málið þannig. Þá erum við ekki að fara ofan í mál barnsins.
Því meira sem gefin gaumur að líðan barnsins í slíkum aðstæðum, því betra. En það þarf auðvitað að vera þá fagaðili sem kann til verka, sem hefur sérhæft sig í því að tala við börn og vinna með börnum og hjálpa þeim til þess að koma út með sína tilfinningar, ekki endilega einhverja skoðanir eða knýja út úr þeim einhverja afstöðu, það held ég sé mjög óheppilegt.
Þegar barnasáttmáli segir við að hlusta á hvað börnin vilja, að þá þurfum við að kafa eftir viljanum, ekki bara taka birtingarmyndina eins og það sé heilagur sannleikur.
Ég held að það sé alltaf dýrmætt fyrir hvert einasta barn að þekkja til foreldris síns og helst að hafa einhver samskipti við það. Nú ef það illa í stakk búið, ef vegna veikinda, vegna einhvers konar misferla eða ráði ekki við sig og svo framvegis, að þá auðvitað verður að vernda barnið fyrir slíkum samskiptum og það hægt. Með því að hafa aðstoð, að barnið fá að hitta foreldra sína, kannski ekki inn á fangelsum eða inn á geðdeildum, heldur kannski einhvers staðar þar sem að þau eru á öruggum grunni.
Ég held að það sé mjög mikilvægt að barn fá að kynnast foreldrum sínum báðum á sínum eigin forsendum en ekki gegnum túlkun hins foreldrinsins á hinu foreldrinu.
Og allt sem heitir að skera á tengsl vitum við alveg bara síðan í rannsókninni sem að Breiðavíkurnemndin gerði, ég var nú í henni og við sáum mjög fljótt að vandinn var ekki barnanna, vandinn var foreldrana. Og það að rífa börnin upp úr sínum rótum og planta þeim einhvers staðar víðs fjarri og skera þannig á möguleika á samskiptum, það var það sem satt þyngst í þessum uppkomnu börnum.
Now we shall hear Jesper Lose, chairman of an old organization in Denmark, 40 years old, actually.
My name is Jesper Lose. I'm the chairman of the Danish Father Association, founded in 1977. We have more than 40 years of experience on all types of different parental issues, but parental alienation and false accusation is of course one of the most important and critical aspects, both for the parents but mainly for the children. We have in Denmark made recently a study where we asked 330 parents of both gender about parental alienation and false accusation. The survey was concerning children, both boys and girls, at all ages. One of the main issues that we experience in Denmark is on the issue of parental alienation and false accusation is that there is a need for information and awareness, but also a need for family law reforms, modernization, and in the social welfare system, we have to be very careful about how many change of hands does a children case has, parental family case has. There's a lot of persons involved, there's a lot of different types of organizations involved, and we know that from process analysis of these cases that also means that lack of knowledge, that the children are not being handled the way they should be. From the survey in Denmark of 330 parents stating they have been experienced parental alienation, we have a number of different results. That also is the same result we see in our 18 counseling centers in Denmark. We have more than 100,000 visitors using our counseling and our guidance every year in Denmark. We have currently about 1.2 million children. What the parents in the parental alienation survey stated was that they often hear the other parent, of course, talk badly about the parent in front of the child. They also experience, of course, that the other parent involved the child in adult decision. 59% of the parents experienced that the parent tried to involve the public authorities, mainly the social welfare system. A large number of the parents experienced that they have been falsely accused of violence towards the child or towards the other parent. That is mainly psychological violence or physical violence. About 70% of the parents state that family, friends, and relatives are also involved in the parental alienation and false accusation. 60% of the parents state that a lawyer has been directly or indirectly involved. 48% of the parents state that they have experienced false police reports by the other parents. 55% of the parents at the same time state that the police report immediately stopped and there's no question about that there's no proof of these things. What is maybe of most concern is that almost all the parents state that there's no consequences on parental alienation and false accusation, which is very, very critical. On the issue of the personal consequences for the parent that has experienced these things, we also asked about this in the survey. We did, should I say, the survey together with our parent organization in Australia. It is opened and freely to use as all of our data in the Danish Father Association. But from the personal experience by the parents state that the personal parental alienation and the false accusations has mainly major affected or catastrophically affected the trust they have for authorities. It has majorly affected or catastrophically affected the relationship with their children and their social life. Also, the children's well-being, the children's health, family relations, psychological health, and financial situations is some of the things that the parents mention as has been affected majorly or catastrophically due to parental alienation or false accusations. 68% of the parents state that the parenting time of their children has been decreased due to parental alienation. 27% of the parents state that the false accusation and parental alienation has also caused suicidal thoughts for the parent. 7% of the parents state that the parental alienation has caused suicidal thoughts for the child.
The contribution from Norway, which is the next country, is with Professor Eivind Meland and a lawyer called Øyvind Østberg.
Yes, I'm Øyvind Østberg. I'm a lawyer practicing mainly in Oslo, Norway, and to a great extent in the field of child and family matters.
Okay, and I'm Eivind Meland, and I'm a medical doctor, a family physician, and also with practice in school health care, and also a professor and a researcher. Could you just say a little about this topic, Øyvind? Why is it that you are engaged and concerned about the matter?
Well, I come to experience through my practice that there was a great injustice done, very often towards fathers, but it could also affect mothers in the Norwegian system of handling disputes, family disputes, child custody disputes after divorce. That was the beginning. So I've been practicing this for a long time and taking part in the struggle to change things. And this struggle for change has made little, but far too little progress so far.
Okay, yes. And my concern is, as you, I've been a medical doctor, have seen parents suffering, I've seen children suffering, and also been a witness with inadequate handling from healthcare personnel and from school administrators and teachers, and myself included, because it has, through the years, I've been practicing for nearly 40 years, where we have treated fathers or mothers as non-existing, and denied children to have mutual contact with their parents.
Yes, that's what I've been experiencing too from the legal point of view. We might address the question of parental alienation,
Yes.
which is in my experience and according to scientific knowledge as I studied it, is a major problem in many disputes between parents, but it is not recognized as such, hardly, in Norwegian legislation and jurisprudence. We find in the Act of Children and Parents, which has been modified a number of times, and even the last modifications of this Act, they do not include the concept of parental alienation, neither in the text of the law nor in the preparatory works, which otherwise very explicitly prohibits any physical or psychological violence against children.
Yes.
But we don't get any clue that this might include the deliberate trying to influence and alienating a child against the other parent. So it's no surprise then that this is to such a small extent really observed and recognized in the courts and other bodies.
I quite agree with you, and one of the problems is also that the psychological and medical experts serving for the courts, they are not aware of parental alienation. So I think it is very important that we address it, that we focus upon it, and because I think that it is one of the major challenges also for medicine and social medicine for the time being.
Yeah.
I've also been researching with adolescents, where we find that children losing contact with one of their parents, it's almost exclusively with their fathers, that they do bad health-wise. Both with psychological complaints and with somatic complaints. And the strange thing with this is that even though the authorities have had an intention of improving the mutual contact and the mutual parentship. We find in our research that it's the same percentage of children that lose contact with one or both of their parents.
Yeah.
And in spite of the political intentions,
Yes.
it has been stable, percent-wise, relative-wise, but in numbers it's increasing because divorce is more common.
It's increasing,
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's a very major problem, and of course it is the children that suffer the most. And that is my concern too. But I also see how it hurts the parent affected and their whole family, and that is also important to take into consideration. Yes, now it's not only then that children are kept away from their parents. That's bad enough over time, but it's also the psychological damage that they are indoctrinated, brainwashed in some cases, with a negative and demonized view of their parent, which is obviously, which you know, of course, this represents a major psychological problem. It's damage to the children. And there are two aspects of this in Norwegian practice. One is that they tend not to recognize it. Strong elements within the dominant psychological profession and the government bodies, they suggest that the concept of parental alienation is not much more than a convenient tool by one parent who is deservedly not experiencing contact with a child. The child says he doesn't want to see his father. That's what we see. But on the other hand, it's also, of course, not recognized that damage this really does to children, that it is a kind of psychological abuse. There are some, fortunately, we do have some judgments by courts of appeal who can recognize this problem and even go to the step of taking the child away from the alien parent and transfer custody to the other. There are very rare examples, and we have no Supreme Court decision to that effect. On the contrary, Supreme Court decisions, they tend to maintain a conservative view and thus supporting this negligence of the problem by the lower courts.
One of our most famous anthropologists in Norway is Brøgger, and 15 years ago he wrote a paper where he claimed that it is it's unforeseen damage to a whole generation of children growing up with only a demonized picture of their fathers to identify with, and we don't know what damage that could have.
Well, we know a bit more than he was able to know, unfortunately, and it confirms that his fears were justified. Of course, we do know now that this has very negative effects health-wise, what they do at school, etc., as you were seeing. So it's very frustrating to fight these fights in courts, I must say, because you don't see understanding of it, and you do not, not only by the courts and the court experts, the psychologists in courts, but also the child protection agencies, which often are involved, like the children ombudsman. If you try to appeal to her, you don't get any response. They are so focused on, well, one argument which is used is that the children's own will, what the children want, is a major point of consideration, which legally, of course, is correct. But then you have to see that children can so easily be manipulated, and this is a form of emotional abuse of a really cruel sort. So there's a lot to be done, and I think it's even the last amendments of the Children's Act now in 2017, they did not address the substance of this issue.
I quite agree with you. We have lots to do, but I think that was what we can can express for this short conversation. Thank you, Øyvind.
Thank you.
From Sweden, we hear Jan Agner, who used to be a pilot, and Mats Hersberg, working as a financial consultant.
My name is Jan Agner, and I am a member in this parental fathers organization in Sweden called Pappa Barn.
And my name is Mats Hersberg. I'm a board member, just like Jan, in Pappa Barn.
And what does Pappa Barn mean?
Pappa Barn means literally father-child.
And do you have any mothers or grandmothers in your organization?
We do have, the organization was founded about 10 years ago. And then it was felt that there were quite a few organizations, or at least that there were organizations for mothers, but there weren't really any places for a father to turn. So that's why the name, as I understand it, why the name is Pappa Barn. Now we have realized that it's not only fathers that stand to lose contact with a child, but it also happens to mothers, of course. It happens to grandparents, and it happens to other persons in the network of the child. So we do get more and more non-fathers who also approach the situation, but it's mostly fathers.
Okay.
To give some figures about the problem of a child losing a parent, it's 1/4 of children with divorced parents. If you interview parents, they say that the children, that the parents have bad contact around the child for 1/4 of all these children, and that gives an idea that it's quite a large amount of children that has problems in their relations after the divorce of the parents.
So you mean about 25% of all children to parents who separate?
Yes.
And how many children in total do you think?
In Sweden there are 2 million children around, and 500,000 of those, their parents are divorced, and 1/4 of those, there is problems in the family.
And in that figure, do you also have the parents who are not married but only cohabitants?
Oh, it's married and non-married, that's parents.
Okay.
There's also one other significant number that I know you, Jan, you frequently talk about, and that is that I think there are 200,000 children in Sweden that has contact with their father once a month or less. Isn't that correct?
Yeah, that's right. 200,000 children do not have contact with their parents, with their father, or less than once a month, which is a low number.
Yes, it's very low. And do you have the figures regarding how many children live with only one parent?
No, I don't have that.
I think the figure for children who after the parents' separation live with both parents is 38%. So Sweden is quite unique in that sense, that so many percent of the children to separated parents live with both. But there are also many children who live just with their mother, mostly, not so often with their father.
Interestingly, of course, there has been a new study now also published by Karolinska Institute, at the CHESS study, which I think says that having the child should really live with both parents, not exactly the same amount, but let's say they have a significant amount of time with both parents. And what I think is particularly important in this study is the fact that this is true also for very small children.
Yes, they have recently made a complementary study on young children. So the child's health and well-being is best if they can have everyday life with both parents, as I have understood their results.
Which they can have if you change every week on a specific day, and then the child stay 1 week with one parent and the next week with the other.
Or they can divide differently if they want, but the important thing I think they have concluded is that they share everyday life, so that not one parent becomes only a weekend father or mother.
When this shared parenthood started in the 90s, a lot of people thought that it might be frustrating for the child to have to go back and forth with a suitcase, they say, but and that couldn't be good for a child, they say. But now when we know better, and after these studies, the children that have had this kind of organization around their life, they say that, oh, that was not a problem with the suitcase. I had two parents all the time, and I'm glad for that. So it's
there are advantages.
Mainly positive outcome.
And what is the situation about parental alienation in Sweden?
Oh, that's a difficult one. And that's because I think PA is simply not recognized in Sweden. There has been, as far as I understand, there has been a very, very strong lobby against it, so that it also almost has become a word that even persons who believe in PA and think that it's very much exists hesitate to use it. So it's I'd say that it's not recognized at all.
Which is peculiar, because you can say that in all these cases where the parents don't have bad or cooperation around the child, you can say that it's some degree of PA is present in all these cases, because it's so easy for a grown-up to slip out some bad words around the other parents, and children do not at all like to hear bad things about the other parents. So some kind of degree of PA is present in all these cases, I think, that when the parents are not working together. And then you have all these degrees. You have these very, very worst cases with sexual false abuse, accusations, and so, and then to these mild ones, when you say that, oh, didn't your father wash your clothes, so now when you come back, blah, 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 which the child doesn't want to hear at all.
As you know, I work since many, many years with the most severe cases.
Yeah.
What do you think can be done about the problem of no recognition of parental alienation in Sweden?
We recently had a talk by a psychiatrist from Finland. And it seems like in Finland there is also a situation where it's not so very well known, but they don't have this peculiar resistance against these PA ideas. They seem like they are more curious and open-minded.
From Finland, I shall read a text put together by a grandfather. Finland is a country with an open discussion regarding parental alienation, but conservative when it comes to family formation. as late as 2016, Finland had the first father to win a case of shared custody. Parental alienation is discussed openly in the Finnish media, and discussions have even entered into the Finnish parliament. But the concept also meets resistance. Social workers believe that parental alienation is not in accordance with the obligation to listen to the children in custody disputes. There are a number of researchers, psychologists and lawyers who are prominent in researching parental alienation in Finland. In one study of parents who had lost contact with their children, 90% suffered from post-traumatic syndrome, half had associated sick leave. 1/3 had considered suicide, and 8% had actually tried to take their lives. The traumatization is greater than that for a parent losing a child who dies, these researchers conclude, called Häkkinen and Nyholm. In another study, it was found that 1 in 10 young persons between 15 and 70 years old had experienced some form of alienation. Researcher was Sarokin. This and some more information from Finland that you can have in written has been gathered by Ingmar Liljeberg, married to a Finnish woman. I also wrote to Greenland, but not to Färöarna, although these two parts also belong to the Nordic countries. The languages spoken in Denmark, Norway, Sweden can be understood between us, but Finnish and Icelandic is difficult to understand, although we can understand some written Icelandic because it has assemblances with Old Swedish. But people are people everywhere, and parental alienation exists everywhere and need to be recognized and addressed broadly if we don't want to create a world with more people gone apart through erased dads, mums and grandparents, resulting in young people seeking an identity and more easily than other young persons recruited to extremist or criminal groups.